The new point release for 22.04 Ubuntu has been delivered. And if you've been on 20.04 and are thinking about moving on to 22.04, 22.04.1 is ready for you now. I'll be back in just a minute to explain some of the things that you should go over before you actually do this. Welcome to the Drunk Linux User. I'm Len. I am the Drunk Linux User. And Ubuntu has released their first point release of 22.04. This is good news for a lot of people who may have been sitting on the fence wondering, should I upgrade my previous long-term release, LTS, from 20.04 to 22.04? Well, now's your chance to find out if this is something that you actually want or not. And I'm going to go through a few web pages and a little pointer here or there just to kind of help things along. And let's get over to, there we go. All right, so OMG Ubuntu, my favorite page. All right, this announces that this is available for you, and 22.04.1 isn't really so much of a feature upgrade as it is a complete bundle of all the bug fixes and things that kind of help round out the rough edges that occurred when it first came out. This usually happens a few months after the LTS is originally released, which was back in April of this year. And this also allows people who have been sitting on 20.04 the opportunity to be able to upgrade within the system without having to go to the terminal. A lot of people will wait for this release to come along simply for the fact that a lot of the bug fixes have been taken care of and you don't have to worry about things. Now, I tried this before they went to this first point release, and I think I talked about this in a previous video. I had some problems with the NVIDIA drivers, and I also had problems with applications just crashing on me. I believe that had to do with some out of memory OMD issues. I believe they've got that fixed now. But I went on to something different simply because it worked better for me. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about Ubuntu. With this point release, you're going to have a lot of things that have been included along the line. And now the install media uses the new Ubuntu branding, so they've gone to a different way of installing Ubuntu. It does look prettier, and it might actually be a lot more intuitive for a lot of new people. And it has the updated NVIDIA graphic drivers, more recent LibreOffice update, GNOME Shell 42, and so on and so forth. You can check out these videos and it'll give you some ideas as to what's actually going on with 22.04. If you already have 22.04 LTS installed and you've been doing the updates as most people normally would, but if you haven't, I would probably update it just for security and usability issues, if nothing else. You already have this if you've already done your updates. And this is not the latest kernel. It is the latest kernel for Ubuntu. So this Linux, for example, this Ubuntu has 5.15. That brings a lot of newer hardware integration into play. So if things weren't working great for you before, they should be working for you much better now. I believe the most recent LTS is 5.18, but I could be wrong about that. And so if you're interested, read this page. I'll leave all these links in the show notes, all three of them. This 9 to 5 Linux goes into a more fleshed out version as to how to upgrade or mostly upgrade on this. And this is the window that might pop up on 20.04. See, however, 22.04 LTS is now available, and you currently have 20.04. So you have a choice to upgrade or not. Before I go any further, I would strongly suggest going through these web pages 2 times. If you're really uncertain, 3 times, but 2 times should be enough. Get your notes together, back up your data, even though Ubuntu should not overwrite anything. If you happen to have an issue, any kind of problem whatsoever, you can always restore your data later. You might have to reinstall some applications, but, it's better to have to put your applications back in after the fact than having to deal with, oh my God, I've just lost all my data. So this goes through the process of the upgrade. And one thing that I am very, very grateful that he put in here is that when the upgrade process is complete, you'll be notified about the obsolete packages that will be removed and prompted to restart your computer to complete the upgrade. Don't forget to save your work before doing that. Okay, what does that mean? Obsolete packages. Well, if you've manually put in a PPA for a program such as Inkscape, and I think the previous was Focal Fossa, I'm probably saying that all wrong, but anyway, 20.04 had its own version of Inkscape with that particular PPA. When you go to 22.04, well, it's going to be a little bit different. Ubuntu is automatically going to disable those PPAs that it considers to be obsolete because it's looking for the 20.04 version. That same PPA may have the 22.0 version in there. You're going to have to go back in and get things set up. After you restart Ubuntu, you get to play around and have some good times. If you want to find out how to get the most out of Ubuntu after an install, just do a search for things to do after upgrading or installing Ubuntu 22.04. You'll get pages of information from many different sources on how to do this. Pick the one that seems to give you what you want and go for it. There's actually really too many for me to go through, and we'd be here all day. And quite honestly, I think we'd both be falling asleep after about maybe the 3rd or 4th one. Regarding those updates, this question came up in Ask Ubuntu: what to do with disabled software sources after Ubuntu upgrade? Good question. This is something that stumped me when I first started dealing with Ubuntu, and it took me forever to figure this stuff out. So the answer that you will find for this is right below it. Again, the link will be in the show notes. And these are great instructions on what to do if you have obsolete packages after an upgrade from 20.04 or 20, I think it's 2110. I'm not really sure how the naming conventions go on that, but I believe that's what it is. So check this out. Make sure, again, you have all your notes in place. Read through it. Make sure you understand what it's saying. Now, when you reboot, you'll find that, this information is going to be available to you anyway. Bookmark it, whether you're using Chrome, Brave, Chromium, Firefox, LibreWolf, whatever you're using for your browser. Save the bookmark for these pages. They'll help you get going in moving forward with your new Ubuntu installation. And those are my little pieces of advice. I also want to say that I really feel more comfortable reading or doing this off the cuff as opposed to trying to read a script like I did the last one, where I was talking about whether to upgrade or update or not. I seem to do better on the fly than I do trying to read text, and I went to the drugstore to look for a job. So here we go. Let's leave this one with our words of wisdom. Don't drive drunk. Don't drink and drive. Don't go to eBay, Amazon, or use MS Ed Shopping all buzzed up because you think you're going to buy the latest and greatest, coolest stuff. You're probably not. In the meantime, bottoms up. Later, dudes.